Exceeding Expectations, episode 40. Welcome to the podcast where we give you ideas on how you can give better experiences to your customers in order to get better testimonials, more referrals, more rebookings. In this episode, we talk with Delano Johnson, who grew up in the Bahamas but has lived in New York for the past few decades. And he's done quite a few things in his life, including taking the online division of Toys R Us from $50 million a year to $750 million a year in just 2 years, around about 10 years ago. He's also worked with Walmart. He worked with the whole country of Algeria, raising their profile. So he's had quite an interesting life. It would be great if you could leave a review for Exceeding Expectations on iTunes or any of the other platforms. And if you've got any questions, if you'd like to hear a particular guest interviewed, please do contact us. You can do via email on tony@exceedingexpectations.me, or just go on to the Exceeding Expectations Facebook group and post something in there. Hope you enjoy this week's episode. Here's Delano. Exceeding Expectations, and the guest this week, Delano Johnson. How are you, Delano?
Oh, man, I'm doing good. Improving by the second, Tony.
And you're over in the Big Apple.
Yes, Manhattan, the city that never sleeps.
and yet you grew up in the Bahamas, which is paradise. What made you go
right?
to...
It's totally crazy. It's totally unacceptable, right? I came from eternal summer to eternal awakeness.
And so I imagine it's pretty different to go from New York to New York from the Bahamas.
Yeah. It was somewhat of a culture shock in the beginning. I'm used to friendliness and, people on the streets who you don't know offering you a cup of lemonade if you're parched and thirsty, right? And New York is everyone's walking straight towards their goal. I got to get to this point. I got to get to that meeting, and everyone's just straight and focused, and without any conversation or minimal conversation. So coming into that was a bit of a culture shock, but I think it fit. New York fits my drive and personality. Sometimes where you are, you can outgrow that based upon where you're going. One of my mentors said to me that environment is more important and more powerful than willpower. Environment is more powerful than willpower. So when you decide that you want to do something, and you got to be around people who are focused, you got to be around people who are laser focused, and all about getting to that goal, getting to that defined success. So I think New York presented that, and it pushed me beyond the limits. They say if you can make it in New York, you can make it anywhere. I believe that to be true.
And I would imagine, I spent quite a bit of time in different places around the equator, and I imagine the Bahamas is sort of pretty laid back. So it'll be a very different experience business-wise.
Everything cool, man. Right?
Yeah,
Everything
exactly.
is cool.
Yeah.
Hey, man, ain't nothing happening. No worries. No, don't worry about that. That's how we go. Everything. Yeah. And now I go home and I'm like, come on, can we speed it up?
Yeah.
Let's get off of island time and let's speed it up a little bit. But it's two different worlds. But it lends itself to different perspectives, and so I'm able to use those perspectives to make my decisions in business and in life even better. So they're different, but they're both valuable.
So when you first went to New York, what did you first start doing business wise?
Business-wise, I tell you, I was doing, odds and end jobs just to survive in the beginning. There was a handyman, my ex-wife, who they knew as a member of a friend of the family, and I cleaned gutters, I shoveled snow. I moved over here in end of '95, moving into '96, which recorded. That year was the I think it's the second worst blizzard New York has had. So my introduction to New York was shoveling snow and dealing with the blizzard. Now, Tony, the only thing I've seen in white mass, right, on floor level was sand.
Right.
So now I'm coming to all this snow, and I got to shovel a driveway. Oh my gosh! So of course I made some money doing that, and just odds and end job. And then when the winter was over, it was time to cut grass, and that's what I did. Cleaning floors. I did whatever I could do until the opportunities presented itself.
And so, where did you go from there?
So from there, I joined a company. There was a friend of mine who told me about this company. It was a multi-level marketing company. And I didn't know too much about it. We didn't have anything that sophisticated. Even though we have a lot of those companies that do well in the island. Said when I was growing up, we knew about Amway and all the others, but this one was a buying club. And I went there. They did the pitch. It sounded very interesting. And more than anything else, I had an opportunity to get out and meet people, right? So that's what I loved about it, going out and meeting people. And then the game of closing a deal, presenting an option and closing a deal, getting a client to either recognize that they need this and don't have it and better get it now, or this is something they may need in the future. So it was a real game. So I did that for a few and did pretty decent in it, and moved on from there. There were other jobs that was available. One of my skill sets, what I did back in the Bahamas, was graphic designs, and so I went at a local church, Agape Family Worship Center in Rahway, New Jersey. And they needed graphic designs, and this was something I did. And so I offered the service, and, I did it well enough where they offered me a job. And so that's where my graphic design skills just grew and flourished. And in the next few years, I started my own business. I think within 3 years, 2 years maybe, I started my own business and had big clients, Fortune 500 clients from there until today.
And then in the 2000s, you ended up in Toys R Us.
Yeah. So the story goes, part of what I didn't say in terms of the history coming from the Bahamas, I was also a musician. I traveled from the Bahamas. We traveled, around the world. We did phenomenally well, exceptionally well. And I moved to the U.S. After that, we were kind of like the band that disbanded a bit. And so, one of the reasons why I decided to come over here was because, I wanted to explore music. I wanted to explore my other gifts and talents and see what I could make of it. So I also had the music aspect of it that I did. I traveled. I had an album out. My group, we were Grammy nominated for Album of the Year on the compilation with Motown Comes Home, with Smokey Robinson, Stevie Wonder, Howard Hewitt. So it was an awesome opportunity. And so I met a lot of people, and so I had some relationships here because we did a few concerts in New Jersey. So in doing that, I had a friend who actually worked at a staffing agency, and he gave me a call. This was after I sold my graphic design company, and he said, "Hey, listen, I know you're interested in the merchandising and toys. I'm developing toys and ideas." He said, "I have a company that you may be interested in." And I said, "Well, tell me about it." So he said, "I want you to say yes first." And I'm like, "No, come on, Paul." And so he said, "I promise you this would be a good one." So at that point, after I sold the company, I was really looking for something solid. and running out of money, so I was looking for something solid, and and I said, well, yes. And he said, great. So he sent me the information. It was Toys R Us. I got 3 kids, so I never told them where I was going. I just went on an interview. They hired me on the spot. And
what?
And it was awesome. It was awesome. It was awesome. So I was hired as the online creative manager, which meant that I oversaw all of the e-commerce and m-commerce platforms, as well as Toys R Us was in a very aggressive acquisition period at that time when I came in. So with my branding background, I was responsible for all of the acquisition brands. So at that time, we swallowed up like Baby Universe, E-Toys, and FAO Shorts at that time, which was a very, very prestigious brand. I mean, it's the Fifth Avenue of toys, right? It's the Saks Fifth Avenue of toys, and so that was a very, very awesome project to work on, and a brand to actually reshape for the online front.
And so you were pretty successful there, it seems like, because you were telling me about you went from 50 million a year to 750 million a year.
Yeah, so in that time, it was a perfect time because there was tremendous growth happening for the internet sales. People were becoming a little bit, more used to purchasing online and having things shipped to them without seeing it. So, and then this was the introduction of comparative pricing online. So this is where Trivago and all of these other websites kind of was born out of that time, 2008. So there was some really rapid growth, and we needed to see how we can harness that. And we partnered with a few companies, and my department was responsible for creating all of the creatives and managing the brands and the offers, creating the language, how we offer particular offers, how we say it, how we language it. And so with the acquisition, my department helped facilitate the entire .com division to go from 50 million to 750 million. So wow. That was pretty remarkable. We were a small group. I had 4 direct reports, and also there was a division of the programmers that really worked along with us and helped to foster the technology for the offers that we wanted to do. And so it was fun. I got a chance to work with Disney and Sony and all of the big brands, Mattel, of course. And anytime a major movie would come out, like a Transformers, it was always represented in the store. So we had to convert those in-store offers into online offers and create an experience for customers so that, we are able to raise, demand and generate more revenue. So that was an awesome time.
Yeah, I can imagine. And talking, you obviously dealing with toys there, and you've told me a story about when you learned quite a bit as an 8-year-old. So what was that story?
Oh, yeah. It seemed like at 8 years old, a lot of stuff happened that, sometimes you look back in your life and you think it's, you're just here and you're just wandering. But when you look back at the major points, you notice that there were major points. Mm-hmm. There were also major people, and then there was also major pain, right? Mm-hmm. So points, people, and pain. For me, at 8 years old is when I really got a vision for my life. It's like I had a dream, and I felt like I was here to do something. Like I was just not here existing, but I was here to create a life. Not just for me, but for my kids and to inspire people around. And I think I owe a lot of that to my mother and my father. And even though he was not present in the home and very quiet, very few conversations with my father. But at 8, I remember I was visiting my dad, he was the food and beverage manager and the executive chef of two of the major hotels on the island, McKine Harbor Inn and McKine Bay. And so when we would go to the hotel, everyone knew that, we were Chef Johnson's kids. So they treated us, really like, hey, you guys want anything? We can go in the kitchen, get anything, or tell the sous chef what you want, he'll make it for you. So that was awesome because we got to we got to live like Arnold on the different strokes, right? Mm-hmm. or Richie Rich. And, so that was really cool. But this particular day I was going in the store and I remember my dad gave me $10, which was a lot of money back then. And so I went into the store and I was buying a Chico stick and some Pop Rocks. Mm-hmm. Chico stick and Pop Rocks, right? And I'm 8 years old and I pulled the money out of my pocket and it was all crumbled. So there was a guy, one of my father's, I don't remember if he was actually my father's friend, but I knew I saw him around a couple times. But obviously he knew who I was and he saw me took this crumble up, bunch of dollars out of my pocket to pay for the candy that I wanted. And he stopped me and he says, "Young man," he says, "Why is your money crumpled up?" And I said, "I just pulled it out of my pocket." And he said, "Young men don't crumple up their money, they fold it." And then he showed me how to fold $1 and then to place it in my pocket. And he says, so what do you want to do? And I said, well, I want to be, a businessman. I want to be a businessman. I think I said I wanted to sing too at that time. Mm-hmm. And he said, well, great. And he gave me some advice that really changed my life. Now, I didn't totally understand it. And to this day, I don't understand why someone would give an 8-year-old this type of advice. But one of the things he said to me was he said, well, if you're going to be a boss, you're going to be an owner, always remember, treat the people that work for you fairly. Treat them well. I looked at him and I'm like, okay, I got it. Figured out, okay, treat people good, right? That's something I know. I've had to practice that. My mother always told me that. But he said, treat people fairly, treat them well. And then he said this principle here. He said, and then remember this rule. He says, one up, one down. He says, whenever people expect something from you, give them something better. And whatever charge they expect from you, give them something lower. He said, if you do this, he said that you will have great customers and you will always be in business. Now I'm 8.
I'm going to say, how did you react as an 8-year-old to that?
Here's the interesting thing, Tony. I didn't even remember that until 8 years later. When I really, sometimes people say things to us or give us something and it's not for now, it's for later. And it's like a time release capsule. When it's needed, the revelation of what it means becomes clear so you can apply the principle and see, promises from it, right? So for me, 8 years later, removed from that conversation, well, not much of a conversation, is me listening to this man who's towering over me, and I'm 8 years old, and he's just giving me these principles. For some reason, he felt it necessary to say that. But here I am. I'm 8 years old. I'm now 16 years old. I'm working at a restaurant, and I figured out, Tony, my job as a waiter was to give the customers who dine a great experience. Now, I worked at a 5-star restaurant. It was, blue plate, gourmet, very high end. So we had a lot of affluent tourists that would come to the island, and they would always come. There was about 3 or 4 islands that was very exclusive. So in high school, I was a waiter there. And I realized that if I did a little bit above what the maitre d' and the owners expected, I was always rewarded. I was always rewarded. So the one up, one down principle I use throughout. After 16 and really getting it, I just use that principle. If someone expected, and let me show. So the one up. Here's an example. So the one up is I was expected to come in, know the menu, understand some of the dish, the main dishes, and particularly the specials, and give the customer a good service, which really was centered around friendly smile and food delivered to the table on time.
Mm-hmm.
That's what's expected, right? So here is my one up. I realized that I could use some of my talents to create a better experience. Like I would teach if there were kids at the table, I would teach them Bahamian words, right? Things from that we would say when they ask for advice or where to go. I would give them, more. And most of the time I would send them to where my mother works so that they can get a discount. They love that. They love the discounts, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then also I learned magic tricks. So at the table, I would make, a coin disappear, or I'd make, the salt disappear, or, so all these little things. And so I enhance the expectation of service. And I always, always, always got rewarded for it more than the other waiters, to the point where it was a problem, and all the busboys liked to work with me because I made more money. So that was the one up. Always go above and beyond. It's like that Mick Jagger statement, whatever's worth doing is worth overdoing. Yeah.
And there's another story around the same sort of time when you were 15, wasn't there, about your, something about some expensive products that you were doing?
I have a younger brother, and when I was, 14, I started working, and, my mother was making a lot of money. She was actually making $80 a week. And so I helped out, as I was the oldest boy in the house at the time. And, so I basically washed cars, in the summers. And so there were spots around the island where people would park, parking lots. That was like that was the hot spots wherever there was a parking lot, but you had to get in really good with the person overseeing the parking lot to use the local water there. And so we would have our buckets. And so the guys that were there would use, for example, to get a tire shine, right? Today we have, thousands of products that we would use to get a real nice black tire shine. And during that time, we used dishwashing liquid, specifically Joy, because that's all we could really afford. And so there was one day when my brother was washing his car, and I saw him put this stuff on his tires and his dashboard, and I asked him what it was, and it was Armor All. So the guys who were washing car, they didn't know. Either they didn't know or it was too expensive. And so I basically sacrificed a few lunches, saved up, asked my brother where he got it from, went to the store. It was AID. It was the name of the store. I remember it just like yesterday. I went there, purchased a bottle, and I took it home and put it in a unmarked bottle. And so what would happen is that the customers, a normal wash was between $5 and $6, right?
Yeah.
So I would charge them $4, and I would use Armor All for the tire shine and the dashboard. So the customers started noticing like this. I wasn't using this Joy stuff, right, on their car. It was something else, especially with, Joy, you roll through a puddle of water, it all just washes off. But Armor All, it has like the silicone seal on it. So they noticed that something was different, and I started to get more customers. So the other guys around who was washing cars like, "What are you doing?" And what is in that bottle, right? So no one figured it out for a long time. And if I felt threatened, I would just move my location. I would move my operations to another spot. But my clients would follow me.
Right.
So it's just the investment in improving the quality of your product or service where you're able to drop your price, right, just below, so you make a profit, but just enough so that you're able to lure. And I didn't know what I was doing then, but here's what I did. I developed a loyal customer base so that wherever I was on the island, wherever my location was, customers would drive to me. Now, here's the deal. Normally, when we do a good job, you would get a $2 or $3, and maybe, every once in a blue moon, you'll get a $5 tip. That's like double, your charge. So, but what was happening is that even though my cost was $4, a buck below everybody else, I was getting tips of $4 and even to $10. I remember this guy had this big, it was a Nissan Patrol, a brown Nissan Patrol, the first one on the island. I washed it. I did such a great job. The guy gave me $10 along with the $5. So I think, the lesson out of that is don't be greedy to make a quick profit, because steady customers, loyal customers, we call it, brand loyalty, where it doesn't matter what product you come out. Once that image is on that product or that service, people trust the quality of what's being delivered. And so I was able to incrementally, the next year, I raised it up to $6. And no one said a word. None of my clients complained at all. So, matter of fact, one of my customers, where I washed the cars, he actually was one of the 5 guys when I graduated high school had committed to a scholarship for me to go to Georgia Tech.
The lessons you learnt there put you in good stead, and that's how you ended up doing stuff like that, such as Toys R Us and Walmart and so on.
Yeah, I think it allowed me to understand the basics of exchange: value, service, profit, customer service, price strategy, customer retention. All of these things is what I was learning. I just didn't have names for it. I didn't have the business terminology for it, but they were all what I was learning. And I owe it all to people who would always, when I gave extra, they always gave extra to me with some information or in the form of a tip. So I owe it to those individuals.
How long ago was it you were doing some stuff with Walmart?
So currently I have a partner. It's a restaurant company. Friend of mine that owns this part owner, managing owner of a brand, Two Friends and a Chef, and we did some work together, some animation stuff, and so she had a project that came across her table, and went out and had a meeting with Walmart, and in a short order she had the opportunity to have her restaurants in all Walmart stores for North America. So that's, over 4,000 locations. And so this happened really quickly. And so she needed someone that, understood branding at that level. And so hence, the call to me, and she told me about it. I'm like, that sounds really good. So, I'm in. So basically, the Two Friends and a Chef is a parent company that has about 4 or 5 different types of restaurants: coffee, cafe, Asian, pizza, Italian, Cajun. So they have those things, and so I was responsible for creating the look, the feel, and the build out of the customer experience for each of these locations and brands. So we erected the first one in Humble, Texas last year. So that's up. It's a kiosk right now in Humble, Texas. That's a kiosk of Two Friends and a Chef. It's doing pretty well. So as spaces become available, we had the opportunity to fill those slots in the Walmart retail spaces with our restaurants, whether it's a kiosk which sits out on the floor next to the registers, or it's in one of the cube spaces. So yeah, there's a total now of 4 since we started. That's up, and so that's been an awesome, opportunity to be able to from conception. I mean, they had logos, but they weren't really ready for that type of exposure. So there was other things that I needed to redesign and repurpose, and so that was a great project. And that's an ongoing project. So that's an awesome opportunity. Yeah.
Well, another project that sounds pretty exciting is you were flown to Algeria to help the government. So tell me more about that.
Oh, yeah. So ironically, a friend of mine was doing some work with a cousin of his who works with the U.S. Algerian Business Council, and so they were looking for some opportunities. Wanted to see if a representative from Walmart could come over and visit some of Algeria's plants. They are first of all, Algeria is the largest country in Africa by landmass. They are 400 billion in reserves. Their economy is driven by gas and oil. But they've been in the recent years very interested in diversifying the economy. So they are very much keen on and focused on education. So the millennials are all educated with master's degrees. But the challenge that they're having is there's no opportunities in mass business for blue collar workers, for the blue collar sector. So they invested and partnered with entrepreneurs there to get manufacturing for every different division, from car tires to foods, to rubber, to cell phones and electronics, television. So they're really going at it, and they have the reserves to do that. So one of the things is that, of course, they after making products, they want to be able to export those products. So with my involvement with Barbosa, the company that I'm partnered with the two friends and the chef, that gives me an opportunity to make available some of the deals that we have on the table. So it was exploratory. We wanted to see what we had, how we can help and be a part of this initiative. If there was anything there, Walmart is not doing any business in that region at all. So it's just difficult for Walmart to go there or to make an appeal for Walmart to be in the region. So that's just not something that they're on their radar at this time. So I basically look to see, hey, what are the opportunities here? Here's a country they've had. We have a presence there. The U.S. has a presence there. We have a U.S. ambassador that lives in the country. Relationships are getting better with that region, and they are very much interested in participating. So I looked at the opportunities and went over there. They paid, and so there are some branding challenges that I made mention of. They don't have a core product yet. They're focusing on just a wide range of just getting manufacturers up. And so, but how other countries were able to, export something either through tourism, like Egypt. Okay, you think of Egypt, you think of what? Pyramids, right? Think of Hawaii, you think of what? Mountains, right? Volcanoes and beaches, right? And dancing hula girls. So there's all these imagery synonymous with why I should be involved or create a relationship with a region, a country, or people. And so, Algeria has been this country that Yeah, that's mistaking most people when I say, say, hey, I'm going to Algeria. They say, you mean Nigeria?
Mm.
And that's kind of it. It sits on the top of the continent of Africa, and a lot of people don't know about it. They've had a bad rap because there were people in Al Qaeda that hid out in the country. So they're trying to clean that up and very much interested in playing in the whole scheme of global economics. So I saw some opportunities and made some projections and said, hey, if you guys are going to do something, you have to start with trying to rebrand the country. I have ideas on how that could be done. You have a wonderful country. The people was just so nice. I mean, it's amazing. It was like when you go into plants, it's all high tech. They have all of the technology. I mean, they're making cell phones, for goodness sake, right? They're and the quality of these items are, I mean, it's excellent. It's exceptional. So I think they have all of the components. So it's going to take, another few years of really just getting into it and finding out how to position them, and what portal or brand or product that can start to put the country on the map. And then from there, leverage that exposure so that other products and services could be exported and they can participate as they desire to. So that was the nature of my trip. It was supported by the Ministry of Commerce. So it was a well attended meeting, got an opportunity to speak to the officials, and more importantly, man, to meet the people and experience the culture. It was awesome. It was awesome.
And there's not many people can say they've helped to rebrand a country.
That's and I'm walking away from it. I think, Tony, that the reality of it really didn't hit me until later. It's like here's an opportunity to actually I'm not branding a product. This is a culture, a people. This is awesome. So in that lies the opportunity to work with, their tourism board, the industrial community, the entrepreneurial community, so the medical community, to see all the things that they have to offer. And so that's awesome. It was great. It's just a great project to be involved with.
What are your what's your general thoughts about over delivering and exceeding expectations, Delano?
Actually, I have no thoughts on it. It's just something we should do. It makes the most sense out of all your business activities. The reason why is this. When we over-deliver and under-promise, we allow people to build a relationship with us based on extra value, right? Everyone pays for extra. You drive up to the window, you ask for a Coke at McDonald's. And what do they say? Would you like the regular or the supersize? There's a reason why they did that. So they're selling 2.5 regular cups for every supersize just by making that available. We like bigger cars. We like bigger homes. We want more money. You're making $75,000 this year. Okay, next year I want to make 85. So we're always in search for full potential. Okay, I run a mile. Can I go 1.5 miles? So that's something that's innate. And when we over-deliver, there is a congruency that happens with that notion of going beyond. So no better place to do that than to give someone a service or a product that goes beyond. It's an instant rapport with the customer. If you've gone way above over the quality level for what they've paid for, okay, now you have a customer. Now you have to, there's pros and cons with that, as it is with everything. because you have some people that will just take advantage of those opportunities, as opposed to people who are interested in creating a long-term relationship. And as we get, deeper and deeper into the short attention span, fueled by social media and this dopamine feedback, it's more difficult for marketers and branders like myself to establish, that fifth level of branding, which is brand loyalty. It becomes a little bit more difficult with that, because people now just want to get the quick hit, the quick service, and the quick this and the quick that. But the upside of that is there's so many people that's just creating, no frills products, right? And cookie cutter products, that I think we're entering now into that time where it's, okay, I want to look like everybody else. Can you give me something unique? Can you give me something customized, right? Even the cookie cutter websites that say, get a logo in 2 seconds. Now they're adding modules so that people can figure out and do it themselves. And I had a customer come to me and said, you were charging me $4,000 for an identity package, and that was just a logo and the different versions of it. He said, so I went online and I made a logo and I paid $100 for it. And then he says, I saw a logo that you did for a competitor. And he understood why. Because when we design and we go over and above with an identity, it's under the consideration that this identity has to be used in multiple environments. And when he designed the logo online, the no frills version, he only got something for what he needed. It didn't have the agility to move into many different environments and still maintain the integrity of the visual narrative of what that brand was. So he came back to me and he says, I get it. Okay, so how much is it going to cost me? I say it's going to be $6,000 now. So at the end of the day, and they paid it, by the way. So at the end of the day, overachieving should be everyone's daily motivation to see how far you can go and to deliver that to a customer so that they see your commitment to not just excellence today, but striving to be excellent for tomorrow.
Well, that was superb, Delano. So if people want to find out more about you and your services and what you do, where's the best places for them to look?
First of all, IG, Instagram, you can check me out on my Instagram page. There's information there. My Facebook page, it's all at Delano A. Johnson, Delano, like the hotel, Delano A. Johnson, all one word.
Yeah.
As well as, you can go and a lot of my principles are in my book. If you look Talented and Broken, you can go to talentedandbroke.com. And I lay out a lot of principles that helps entrepreneurs and creative people and multi-talented people. So those two places, all my social handle is at Delano A. Johnson, Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter.
Okay. Well, thank you very much for your time, Delano. And
this has been awesome, Tom.
And best of luck with your business.
Thank you. Appreciate it, man. Bye-bye.
Next week's episode 41, is with Dilys Gayan. She's an international sales and marketing leader, a coach, and a keynote speaker. And if you'd like to discover how to attract more business clients, then this could be the episode for you. She's done quite a few things in her life. She's got a profit-boosting strategy session she's going to talk about, and also 21 surefire ways to find your ideal clients. And she talks about, she does a regular mastermind in Paris. And she's a lifelong learner, and we're going to find out much more about Dilys in next week's episode. Hope you have a fantastic week, and see you then.